Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott and we're glad to have you here. As you notice, the picture's a little bit clearer. I got new cameras today, but the problem is there is like a 1 second delay in between my voice and what the camera is picking up. So the only reason why I'm mentioning that to the chat room is because I don't need to see a big list of, why is your audio out, Dave? Your audio is out. There is a delay, Dave. Yeah, I already know. So if you see people coming in late and they bring that up, just put them in their place, damn it. We're going to try and figure it out for tomorrow. All right, let us say hello to Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position. Tim Mothman in his goatee sharing a silver. Race fan with a bronze medal tonight. Hippie Deidre, how you doing? Good to see you. And Eternity Eternal, Robert Lamoth. Mel WD-40 is here, merling it up for tonight's show. Because you always want to go into a show with Merle nice and smooth. You need lots of lube, the ghost-like lube. They don't want any rigidness, so Merle is lubed up, ready for tonight. Thank you, Mel. Frankie B. Adam B. is here. Adam B. will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. All right, Necessary Dialogue. How are you? Fast Hemi, good to see you. Kathy Evans, thank you for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call. Hall Parvo, how you doing? 2 nights in a row. Excellent. Let's see here. Road Flare, how are you? Flubber Lane, nice to see you. Flubber Lane will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Millennium, my man, nice to have you here. Little Timmy James, he's merling it up right there. Look at that, Merle. That's strong merling right there. All right, moving on. Bar Madison, good to see you. Lenda, thanks for coming on in as we continue on with the roll call. Michael Vieira is merling it up. Look at that. That's strong merling right there. And Kurt M., nice to see you. J. True Seeker, Ethanol, and Hippie Deidre. Nice to have you here. I'm still not feeling good, guys. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, thanks for coming on in. T-Bone, my man, thank you for joining us. Jerry Carter, good to see you, my man. As we continue on with our roll call, there's Flat Six. And who else is next? Gizmo and Miriam. How are you? Scrolling on down, let us say hello next to Lee the Bee and Wolverine. Good to see you. Oh, my sinuses are just killing me right now. I'm a whiny little bitch when I'm sick. I am. I'm a whiny little bitch. Fapster, how you doing, buddy? Paramarv, good to see you. In the studio, did someone say Merle? Yes, we did. Right there. All right. Paramarv's merling it up as we speak as well. And Michael Wilfong, Michelle Wilfon, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. She says, good evening. Good evening. I'm Michelle Wilfon. Algaray over on Twitch, warming up for Merle tonight. 2,300 chin-ups in 8 minutes. Guy's like he got a Hemi engine in him, right? Merle is even merling it up. Where's the dot tonight? Operation Shutdown. Ozzy, good to see you. Oh, there's the dot. Period dot is here. Yeah, he only shows up once a month when Merle's around. That's why we like the period dot right there. Uh-huh. And who else? Parasolo, good to see you. And let's get the radio side going. All right. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us as we got our main man Merle with special guest Valerie Gregory coming on in to talk about some very special hauntings and haunted areas. Oh, it's going to be fun. We got all of you as well as we are in roll call on the YouTube side. And let's see here. Who else do we have? Keith McCormick, Jed Maxwell. Welcome to SOR Chat. Gizmo, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. And we got 10 seconds. And who else can we say? Hi, Bobbert. And Red Storm, how are you? Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. Mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our site as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Jive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Jive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of funness for you tonight. Merle is here. Say it out loud with me, people. Merle! And Ghost of the Great White North. We're getting ready for him momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off with another spooky story. Follow that up. Our good friend Little Timmy James will be in studio for the UFO report. Each and every month we bring in our main paranormal man, Merle, for a little ghost, ghouls, and goblins, because he is a ghost hunter extraordinaire, and in my opinion, one of the top ghost hunters in the beautiful country that we call Canada. Yep, Merle is somebody who takes this very seriously. He loves to learn about history. He loves to learn about what is going on in historic buildings and the spirits that are there to tell the story. Tonight, we bring in a special guest as well. Valerie Gregory is here. She is from a very special place in Washington State. Merle's going to break it all down for us, so let's bring him on in. Our main man, Merle, it's good to have you here. How you doing?
Thanks, Dave. It's great to be back. I missed last month, so it's great to be back. It seems like it's been forever since I've been here with you, Dave.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing you in a couple weeks' time in Las Vegas for our the Dave and Merle Party weekend.
Is that what we're calling it?
I don't know. It just sounds good.
It does. It'll be great times.
And you brought a special guest with you tonight. Tell us.
I did. I was in Spokane, Washington, hanging out with the Paranorthwest, and we did a side mission to Colfax, Washington, where we got to investigate for the night St. Ignatius Hospital. I believe it's in the top 10 of most haunted, cool hospitals in the United States. And here we have Val. She's the director of the ghost tours there. And she's got a lot of cool stories about paratourism, ghosts, and even being on ghosty reality shows.
Wow. Valerie, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're glad that you're here as well. So explain to our audience a little bit of the history of St. Ignatius. Is that how it's pronounced? St. Ignatius?
Yeah. Yeah, so St. Ignatius was built in 1893 by the Sisters of Providence. Mother Joseph built our building, and it was the last building that she built before she passed away. And she built 17 other institutions throughout Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, and stayed a hospital till about 1969. So I was born there, and I'm not a ghost, so there we go. Uh, in 1969, then it was sold to a man who turned it into an insane asylum until 2003. So it's seen a lot of things over the years. And in 2015, it was deemed the most endangered building in Washington state, which is not a list you want to get on. And we were number one, which means we needed to save this building. So we knew it was haunted. All the neighbors have talked about it, and all the kids that went to high school in Colfax, Washington, had always said it was haunted. And so we opened it up for ghost tours, and I've been doing ghost tours for 10 years now.
Wow.
Do you remember the first ghost you ever saw there?
Yes, I do. It was terrifying. I was with the chief of police, and we were just in there by ourselves. We were kind of cleaning up some stuff, and I saw a huge shadow figure go from what I thought was one door to another. And when I got down to the hallway, there were no doors. So whatever it was walked through the wall.
Dang.
Yes.
Dave, this hospital, is it 4 floors, 5 floors?
6 floors with the morgue, including the morgue. Yeah.
Morgue.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave, like, it's one of the most, I can't even explain. I can't even think of a word to use of how haunted, more unsettling. That there's always somebody with you when you're there. I've had the luck to have gone there twice. I went there a couple of years ago with a team that was filming something. I was helping them, and it was kind of neat in between them setting their stuff up for filming. This was, I think, 2022, 23, around there. And I was able to walk on the floor with the infamous, and we'll talk about this later, Rose's room. And I was alone. And actually, we can get into Rose's room right now. She was a patient. Tell us about Rose, and then I'll get into Rose's room.
Yeah, Rose was a patient. So, like, I knew Rose because she would have been there in the 1980s when I was in high school in Colfax. And so they let the residents come to, like, my volleyball and basketball games. And so she was schizophrenic. And I knew Rose as Finger Lady because I didn't know her name. All she did was cuss at her finger. And so everybody in town called her Finger Lady. And we kept her room pretty much exactly the same as it was when Rose was there. And on her chart, when we went in, we found out that Rose loved Coors Banquet beer. And on her chart, her doctor had prescribed that she could have a Coors Banquet beer as needed. So I hope that's on my chart when I get old. And so she, I would say, is probably our strongest spirit because every time we go into her room, we get activity. And we have even heard her talk on, like, EVPs and on the spirit box. And since I knew her voice, I recognize her voice on the spirit box. So I definitely think Rose is still in the building.
I think I had 2 experiences in Rose's room. The first time would have been when I was there, I think, in 2023. And like I said, I was alone. I was just walking around up there in between setting up, like, the shots they were doing. And when I went into Rose's room, I felt somebody kind of rush me from behind, like, to see what, like, kind of made me feel like, what are you doing in this room? And then I saw the bed in there. I saw, like, the TV with all the Coors on there too. And it literally felt like somebody was right beside you to the point where you could feel essentially something almost breathing on your cheek. I didn't feel a breath on my cheek, but, like, that close, just kind of in my space. And then me being a little flinchy, I'm like, I'm out. And I went to go find the other team. And then when I left this room, Dave, I felt like, again, something rushed me right to the stairs that you have to walk down. Like there's a door and then the stairs to get back down to the main floor. And I don't think anything bad. But I just, when you're alone and things like that happen, you're a little more heightened with things, a little more scared. I'm scared of cat.
Merle, you get scared at your own shadow sometimes on ghost hunts.
I do. I'm a little flinchy sometimes, but I've come a long way, Dave. Come on, I don't run out of buildings anymore. Come on.
Sometimes. When explain how Valerie, how the whole idea of turning this abandoned building into a haunted tourism attraction panned out. How did that all start?
So the mayor came to me and said, "Can you bring tourists to our town?" And I was like, "No, are you kidding me? It's a town of 2,700 people sitting in the middle of a wheat field." And the next day I thought, "Oh, wait a minute, I think I can." Because I remembered St. Ignatius. And I didn't know who owned St. Ignatius at the time. So I found out who owned it, asked him if I could rent it from him. And I had 30 of the best volunteers in the whole world because we cleaned up the hospital within like about 2 weeks. And by that time we had sold out every single tour for like 2 months straight. So that's kind of how we started it, was because of tourists, but we always knew it was haunted. So that definitely helped.
One story that stands out for me that you told when I was there last was towards the end of Patience being there, like in its final life as I guess when it was an asylum, or when it had like an outreach there, the clients or the patients would see spirits walking around.
Yeah.
How common was that?
That was very common. Like the patients, and so some patients are still alive and I still know them. They just moved down the hill to a different facility. And they said they used to see things walking down the hall all the time. The nurses would see balls of light that would just flash down the hallway. And I had never seen that until this year. And now I've actually seen the balls of light that they're talking about. They will light up a room. And we're located in a place that's not near a road, so it wouldn't be lights from outside. But yeah, all of those people have seen things.
Sounds like I gave you my cold.
I think so.
This is the season. Get it out of your system, Dave.
Allergies are hitting, yeah.
Yeah, it is allergy season.
We are having a horrible windstorm here too, so I don't think that's helping me.
No, you got the dust too. But like, what do you think the balls of light there are? They like orbs, or was it like energy, or like intelligent?
I think it's energy that is like manifesting, and I don't know if it's intelligent or if it's just residual. But we can see it on the cameras. So we have cameras throughout the entire building, and we have a room that has a big screen TV, so you can watch what happens in the building when nobody is on the floor. And it's just a blue, like flash of light coming from a different room usually, and it's usually always on the 3rd floor, which has been my more active floor, I would say. It was the floor that started out as infectious disease. Then it became the baby ward. So that's where I was born, was on that floor. And then it was the area for the schizophrenics. So I think that's why 3rd floor is so active. It has a lot of energy from the past. But that is the floor that we've seen the lights on.
Would that have been the tuberculosis floor? Like that?
Yeah.
On the yeah, I remember seeing.
Also has the TB. We didn't have a lot of TB patients. The ones we did have, we sent to Spokane, But we did have a few TB patients that passed away at St. Ignatius, and they had their own kind of area on the third floor.
Interesting. And
is it a place that is always on with hauntings? That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, I would say every night is different. Some nights are so scary that I make the people that are on my tour leave with me because I don't want to be in there by myself. And then other nights, we always get something, like we always get activity, but other nights it's more calm. And then I'm okay being in there by myself. But yeah, you just never know what you're going to get, but we always get something.
In the next half hour of the show, I want to talk about paranormal tourism with you because I actually set up a ghost tour at our local museum here to raise money. And, one of the things that we had issues with, we'll get into the paranormal tourism more in the next half hour, but one of the questions I want to ask you is, how do you deal with teams who come in there and think they are going to be the saviors of the souls? You always get these teams that come in where we're going to cross them all over, we're going to send them to the light, we're going to do all of this stuff, or even the darker side where people try to manipulate the spirits. How do you deal with people or groups like that?
Yeah, I would say in the beginning, like 10 years ago, I had a lot of the darker groups that came in. I had people that wanted to bring in Ouija boards, and I said no Ouija boards. And people who would, try different things. I just tell them, hey, we don't do that in here. I've only had to kick one group out doing that, so that's not too bad in a 10-year time span. But I do have people come who are, we're going to cross them over, we're going to save the day. And I just tell them, hey, we're just here to visit with the spirits and communicate with them. And a lot of my spirits aren't the same spirits that were there 10 years ago. I have gotten different feelings and different responses over the years. And so I think spirits, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I think spirits move on. I also think people bring spirits with them.
We want to talk about that.
That's another interesting thing that I've kind of learned over the years is that people have energy that they bring. And I think that's what makes it so different every night, is because the people are different every night.
Why do you think the spirits have changed?
In the beginning, they were kind of angry, I would say. Or maybe I was just more scared and I'm just used to the building now. But now I just feel like they really want to communicate, or maybe they've just grown like I have. They've gotten to know me and the people that come in, but now they just seem calmer and they are communicating better. Whereas before I felt the spirits that were there were very angry. At one point I had a priest come in, and I'm not a religious person, but I had the priest come in and do some like St. Michael prayers and stuff because there was one hallway that really scared me. And I don't get that as much anymore.
What happened with that one? What was...
I just saw this dark mass come down the hallway at me, and there was two other girls with me from Vancouver, Washington. And we both ducked at the same time. So I knew that we all saw it because we all reacted at the same time. One girl started crying. I just didn't even know what it was. And then it just felt not good in the building. And I'm not a sensitive or a medium or anything like that. But at that moment, I just wanted to get out because I'd never seen anything like that. It got real close to us and then it disappeared. And there was kind of a dark guy in there. There was a guy who was trying some different things. And I don't know if he manifested it or if you can do that. Again, I'm kind of a tour guide. I've kind of learned as I go. But it has definitely changed. That's when I had the priest come in. So now it feels better in there.
I think I agree with you when you said kind of the ghosts perhaps evolve, like with the tourism. Sorry, that was my cat's feeder. If you can hear that, but I do a tour like Dave and I. We've both done tours. We've done ghost hunts, and we've done historical fundraisers for places. And we talked about that when I was down
Yeah.
in Colfax. But this one place, the ghosts, the spirits, they were kind of really apprehensive of us being there. But I find when we set our intent out of how we just wanted to preserve, celebrate, and get to know the history and like the spirits that live there or once lived there, that it's okay to communicate with us. And I found the more tours we did, we didn't do too many, but I found that they were more, I guess, confident to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Some nights it would be dead, like there'd be nothing. They would be elsewhere, just didn't like the energy. But other nights it'd be bopping, and I feel that like there's a couple locations I'm really attached to, probably like you are with St. Ignatius, because I've put a lot of time into a handful of locations, personally and energy wise, and I feel kind of connected to the spirits.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think they trust you, like Val. They probably trust you in St. Ignatius, and I feel that way with the locations that I do fundraisers at too. And I think you steer the ship, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
How about you, Dave, with that?
I think it's a okay. Sorry, I'm trying to hold back a sneeze for everybody listening on Radioland. I have a cold right now that I'm trying to get over. So I think with the hauntings of places like this, it always amazes me, as we got about 2.5 minutes left, that the spirits would want to stay in a hospital. Like, you could go anywhere you want. Why stay in a hospital? Have you ever wondered that, Val?
Yeah, I wonder it all the time. In fact, one time I asked the nuns, because I think the nuns live upstairs in there where they used to live. And I finally asked them, I said, why are you here? I would think they would cross over. And as plain as day on our Phasma box, they said, because of the children. So they stay there because we had 200 little kids die in St. Ignatius from Spanish influenza. And I think the nuns stay to protect the kids. And then it made all the sense in the world because I could never understand why the nuns would still be there.
That would make sense. Doing God's, because they're Catholic, God's duty.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're just looking out for the kids because I don't think the kids can leave. I get a lot of little kids' voices in there, so a lot of giggling. So I wish they weren't all there because it makes me sad, but I do think the nuns are there protecting them.
I think we had communication with children's spirits when we were in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they liked the cat balls, and they liked a couple of the other motion sensors we put on the ground in there. And we caught some cool stuff on film, some cool audio. But yeah, no, they were very chatty to us in there, which was kind of sad, but kind of neat at the same time because children's spirits, right?
At least we're there to talk to them, I guess. I mean,
absolutely.
It makes me feel better that I can see them. Yeah, I'm there with them.
Yeah, no, it's good. They get lots of guests, right?
Yes, lots of guests. Yeah.
Do the 30-second answer, Valerie? Do the ghosts like that you're there? Do they like that you're acknowledging them?
I really do. I think they do. Yeah, I don't know if they like we're not friends or anything, but I do think that they like when I'm there. They'll say it on the Phasma box, like welcome back, or they'll even say my name. I've gotten some EVPs that have said my name too. So yeah, I do think they acknowledge that I'm there and they don't mind it.
All right, Merle, Val, you guys hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Ghosts of the Great White North with our main man, Merle, from the Paranormal Road Trippers based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. It's all paranormal all night tonight with Merle and Valerie Gregory from St. Ignatius Hospital in Spokane, Washington. We'll be right back on the Mighty SOR. All right, we're clear.
All right, we're still live, technically on YouTube, Val. Just
Okay.
FYI.
I won't
Okay,
cuss.
Yeah, no. Some people spilt some good tea over the years on these
So we go
breaks.
to
But Dave, one day you got to check this place out, man. It's
I'd like to. You never
need to
invite
get
me.
back.
You would love it.
Yeah,
I'm sure I would, but Merle never invites me.
Dave, we're going to talk about the other areas that you can investigate too when you're
Yeah,
at.
we have quite a few different locations. Yeah.
Give me 2 seconds. 'Cause I'm trying to get rid of. Tim and I are still trying to get rid of the 1 second delay here.
You're almost there. That was a quick half hour.
We're there.
Real quick.
I'm not seeing anything for cameras.
Just click on display adapters. No, just narrow it. Nope.
No, that ain't it.
Just go down until we find them.
No, it ain't that. Maybe. There we go. So what are we supposed to do here?
It's listed. Make sure that it's not marked with a warning icon. If it is, okay, then it's not.
We don't have the warning icon.
Well, at least you can update your drivers from there. You know to do that.
Yeah, but the drivers are already updated because they're brand new.
Windows problems.
We're good there. All right, so we know.
Hey, Dave, I'm no computer expert. Have you tried to update your drivers?
Dirty filth?
That's what I said.
Really?
I'll get a MacBook.
Right?
Holy crap, dude.
Nobody uses Windows, Dave.
Yeah, open up the window, dude. Yeah, it's got the fresh air in here.
Yeah, 'cause I'm sweating like
Your gas is
No, there's
horrible.
a green gob on the back of that painting there. Dave.
Gregory DeGraff, how are you?
Filth, are you coming to Vegas? I forget what you said.
Callie?
No, sir.
Oh, no.
No, Filthy's not coming.
Copy.
I
2026?
still love you though, Merle.
I saw that you have. I love that you put my sticker on your
The old traveling case.
Rock and Rory, how you doing?
Hi, Rock and Rory. Okay, I'm going to no swearing mode here, Dave.
You're going to go squirrely?
No swearing mode.
Okay. We got about 2 minutes here.
So, Dave, you want to take it paranormal tourism next half, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's
Cool.
important. Look at Jessica Jones with a nice strong Merle in there, eh?
Merle.
Yep. Clean, concise. We got to get her to Vegas.
The whole gang. Val, we do it once a year. We do Spaced Out Radio, and the hosts go down, the listeners go down, and we have a fun weekend of mingling and.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
Yeah,
David,
Merle likes to call it the Merle Mingle.
the Merle mingle.
We just got back from the Dumas brothel in Montana.
That is on my list.
Terrifying. You have to do it. It was awesome. The owner's great. He just left us in there and gave us the key.
That's
So
awesome.
it was really good.
Cool Arrow, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, we have restarted the computer a couple of times. And Gregory DeGraff, and then just, with the Dutch last name, he's like, and it's called aluminium. Like the British say, aluminium. Aluminium. The Dutch Brit right there. All right. Big thank you to T-Bone and Gizmo for the super chats. Boondock, how you doing? Welcome back. It's quiet because we're all sick. And we still have to do a show. Cosmic Joe, how you doing? All right. Here we go, everybody. Like 5 seconds. Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We're talking some paranormal news with Merle and Valerie Gregory. Have a good night tonight. Hope you're enjoying it as well. Bring them back on. We want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go from the Paranormal Road Trippers and Ghosts of the Great White North. We got our main man Merle, one of the top paranormal investigators in Canada, hanging out with us. And from Spokane, Washington, Valerie Gregory, who runs a paranormal tour at St. Ignatius Hospital in Spokane, Washington. There we go. Let's bring him on.
Colfax, Washington,
Colfax,
Dave.
Washington, but it's close
Colfax,
to Spokane.
same thing.
Close. Yeah,
It's all Eastern Washington.
same thing.
All right, Dave, I want you to serve up this half hour with paratourism. You were really into wanting to get into this.
I am a very big believer in paratourism, but it has a lot of detractors in it. And the detractors just aren't from the paranormal or supernatural world. They're from within the own community as well. When you decided to take this route for the hospital, how did it go over within the community?
I was real nervous. I'm not going to lie. We have, I don't know, probably 7 different churches and religions in Colfax, and I was real nervous about what they were going to think. And so I kind of did an article in the newspaper, and just a local newspaper first, and kind of explained what I was going to do. And our main thing was to always tell the history. So I love history, and like I'm part of the Whitman County Historical Society, and they've even gotten involved over the years, now. So I kind of went at it that way, because we always tell the history of the building and how important this hospital was to Whitman County. It was the only hospital in the whole county. Spokane is about an hour away from us, and it was longer than that in the 1800s. So we were a crucial part of what made Whitman County. So I really stuck with that, and then showed them some different TV shows and stuff that were going to come. Like my first TV show was Paranormal Lockdown with Nick Groff. And I'm so glad that he was my first one, because he also loves the history, and his show was a little bit tamer than some of the other shows. And so when I showed the community that, they were on board, and I didn't have any pushback. I had pushback from one guy, and he was from the Baptist church, but then he was okay with it in the end. But most of the community was like, you're bringing tourists to our town, you're telling the history, you're doing it in kind of a fun way. And if it's bringing people from all over the world, I mean, I've had people from Finland and Canada. I have Canadians come all the time. It's the best. So when they saw that and how I was going to impact their town, they were there helping me. So I was shocked. I thought I would have a little bit more pushback, but I really lucked out.
I think, like, one thing I noticed immediately, like the last time I was there, and I said it to Shayla, one of the Penn Northwest team members, was how not only do you give so much history, like you give us an hour's worth of history. I could have done that all night because that's me too. History first, preservation and history. And when you were done telling us the history, the ghost stories, the in all the different shows you've had in there and whatnot, you also said, hey, and if you want to speak to any of the ghosts, here's names. Like, you gave us a list of names of spirits to talk to, and I was like, that's like straight up respect to the spirits there. And I wish more locations would do that, because that's why we're there. We're obviously there for paratourism. You want to get a bit of a scare, but me being more of a researcher, I want that knowledge and history, because I feel that's where you're going to get your evidence with the EVPs, because you're trying to have a direct conversation instead of saying knock 3 times if you're there, right?
Yeah. We definitely, we have a list of the names of the people who lived there in the later years, and then we do have stories. We found different articles of kind of tragic things that happened when it was an actual hospital. Mm-hmm. And so we have those posted all over the walls too, so you can see different names of people who, one guy was crushed between 2 railroad cars. One gal was actually killed by one of our doctors, and he actually went to jail. So we have all of those articles from like 1904, 1910 up on the wall, so people can learn the history along the way. And that was really important to us. And I do think that was the crucial part that made Colfax see that we were not only, doing this ghost thing, but we're telling the history and we're saving a building. And that was the number one thing, is that we need to preserve this building so that more people can come and see it, that we can keep doing this for years and years.
Getting back to the paranormal tourism side of everything, how did the community react when you set this up? I mean, you said that you were worried about the churches, you were worried about the religions and everything, but once they saw the tourism dollars coming in to the community, how has the attitude changed?
It really changed, and I think we did the right thing in the beginning. So the first 2 years that we set this up, we ran it through the Chamber of Commerce, because we didn't really know the owner. So I've been through 4 owners in 10 years. This owner is my best owner I've ever had, and I hope he sticks with me for a long time. But so that first owner wasn't putting his portion of the money back into the building. So our goal was to get on these TV shows, get us recognized, and then find somebody who would want to buy it so that they would preserve it and save this building, because he was just taking his portion and just pocketing it. Well, we took our portion and we put it back into downtown Colfax, Washington. Now, at that point, 10 years ago, there were barely any stores open in Colfax. And we have a very historic downtown. All of our buildings were built in the 1800s, late 1800s, and we've saved them. Mm-hmm. And so our goal was to get these empty storefronts filled. So we gave out storefront grants, and we helped some of the building owners kind of rehab their buildings so that they could put new businesses in there. We even opened an incubator, which had 10 brand new businesses that all shared space, time, and rent, so that we knew they were going to be successful, in hopes that they would be so successful that they would rent out the other buildings. And that's exactly what it did. So in the first 2 years, we opened 17 brand new businesses in Colfax, Washington. And we won the Revitalization Award for the state of Washington. We beat out Issaquah and Bellingham. So this itty bitty town of 2,700, with paranormal, tourism dollars, changed a town. And it's been pretty amazing. All those businesses are still open, and our little main street is thriving. We have the cutest stores, restaurants, bars. They have a bunch of festivals now, which they never really had before. And so I remember, I think it was an article in the Seattle Times that said, "Can ghosts save a town?" And it was this wonderful article. And at the end, it said, yes, they can, because of all the economic development that St. Ignatius did for this town was incredible. And I don't know if I planned that, but that is what happened. So, I mean, I kind of had a vision in the beginning. There was me and about 4 other people, including the mayor. And that is exactly what happened. Paranormal tourism changed Colfax, Washington.
I think that's a wonderful story because so many small towns have these urban legends that, like I look at my small town where I live. Okay, yes, I started a ghost tour at the museum, but this area is very well known for UFOs. It's very, very haunted, and in the forest there's Sasquatch activity. And yet there are people within this community where we don't want to talk about that. We don't want that kind of crowd, like treating it like, the paranormal people are a bunch of lepers, and yet as communities, smaller communities lose their industries like logging or mining or whatever that blue collar industry is, here they are hurting for money.
Hmm.
And yet they have this prime opportunity to get into the paranormal world, which will bring absolutely free money. And I think that's what a lot of these towns forget. Tourism revenue is free revenue, and
Yeah,
it's very inexpensive revenue.
that's
And they forget
exactly
about
right.
that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Our our hotels, we only have 2 hotels, but we have quite a few like Airbnbs and VRBOs. They love us. Like they'll come on our tours sometimes just to see what we're doing. But the people stay at our hotels and I mean they're like, it keeps them busy year round because I'm open year round. So even in the winter when I have blizzards, I still have people renting hotel rooms in Colfax, Washington. So, and shopping at our stores and eating at our restaurants and filling up with gas. And I mean, it's just a ripple effect. When I get them there, I get them to town, and then they see what a great little town it is, and then they want to come back. And that's the one thing that I was worried about is when I started, I was like, okay, is this going to dry up? Like, is eventually is nobody going to come? Like everybody's already going to come to St. Ignatius, and I'm not going to have customers. No, I have returning customers. So the other day I had a gal come and she's been on my tour 14 times and she's from Los Angeles. So it's just such a great experience and they have a great experience in the town that they want to come back. And so I was so happy when our town embraced it. I mean, I walk down the street and everybody calls me the ghost lady. They're like, "Hi, ghost lady." And they're so excited. And the first year I made these stickers for every single business, and on it has a picture of St. Ignatius, and it says, "Ghost towns happen when you don't shop local."
I
And
love that.
every
Nope.
single business still has those stickers in their windows, and it's been 10 years. So, the business people are all for what's going on, and they can see, most of them have been on my tours, so they see exactly what I do. Um, so it has been, I don't know, I'm just so proud of Colfax for thinking outside the box and like taking a chance on me and not just shutting me down from the moment they heard ghosts, um, because it really has benefited all of us.
Yeah, and you know what? Get over the political stuff and the old people being embarrassed because for some reason paranormal or supernatural events embarrass them. Like, give you an example. Back in 1989, our town had a very, very well-known alien abduction encounter. And you talk to people who've been around this town. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, I don't like that stuff. Who knows if it happened? Sounds made up. And these are people who've been here 40, 50 years who are saying this, but you can't deny your history. You know, like we're right along the old Gold Rush Trail that started in Virginia City, and it's literally 3/4 of a mile behind where I'm sitting right now. That entire path is so haunted that you never know what you are going to get when you're there. And to me, it just baffles me that there are communities out there like my own who will not even look at building this as a tourism industry. You know, you could bring in all the hockey teams you want. You could bring in all the hunters and fishermen that you want. Guess what? They're just as limited as paranormal people. And paranormal people travel from all over the world. You know that better than anyone. Where's the furthest somebody has come on your tour?
So I had South Korea. I've had Finland, Nova Scotia, Australia. The other day I had a whole group, 7 people from Australia.
So cool.
They come all over. I go everywhere. I like to go to other locations. Like I have a list like Merle does, and then we just check it off when we go. So I've been to like Waverly Hills and Trans-Allegheny, and just got back from Montana. And me and about four to 5 people, we all go together and do this and rent out these locations. And so it's a huge tourist attraction. I mean, I don't think people, I wish that other little towns like mine would capitalize on what I've done. I've had some people call me and I've gone to their town and told them what I did. And a lot of their city council people are like, no way. And I'm like, well, you're missing out, because now we have 3 locations and the Whitman County Historical Society is one of them. And they do after dark tours, which is a ghost hunt and a paranormal activity in one of the most haunted houses I've ever been in. And the other one is an old brothel, and it was an old hotel at one time too. So Colfax is really becoming like the little paranormal town, which is great because it just brings more and more people.
And that brothel, I can confirm, is haunted, because when I was there the first time with the film crew, you let us up there, and I was the first one to go up there because I was bringing some equipment up, and lo and behold, Dave, I had somebody whistle at me, catcall me, actually. It was startling, but then I'm like, well, I guess I am in a brothel. And it looked like a time capsule. Like when Val opened the door and we went upstairs, all of the wood, all of the washrooms, the rooms, there was furniture in there. It literally looked like she just opened the door from like 1880s or 1890s. And it was amazing to be able to go into a place that is like that. And I think Colfax, you do it right. You're preserving history, and you are making money to put back into the city and into your buildings for future ghost investigations. Because you're keeping the memories alive. You're celebrating it, and that's A+ for that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, it's amazing how people flood to these areas. And, you know, I don't know, it seems though to me that people in the United States, and Merle, you'll probably concur with me on this, people in the United States are much more open than people in Canada to the paranormal experience. They are much more open to the idea of taking in paranormal tourism and paranormal adventures. And I'm not just saying paranormal, even cryptid adventures or UFO sky watches and everything along those lines. You know, I mean, the Germans are very into it. We know the Japanese and the Chinese are very into it. What have you noticed from the different cultures that are very pro paranormal?
That's a good question for her. I've thought about that too.
Yeah, I would say it's a mix. of people. I like the most interesting group that I have come in are Native Americans. Probably my funnest group that comes in because they're so spiritual. And the things that happen when I have a group that always comes in every year, and it is the most amazing thing I've ever seen because they just open themselves up and they just have so many beliefs that it is always a super active night. Then I'll have other groups that are more on the skeptic side. And I would have always thought that the spirits would want to prove that my place was haunted, so they would really pour it on if I had the skeptics in there. No, that's not what happens with my spirits. They just shut down. They're just like, nah, we're not even going to waste our time with these people. And they don't. It's the weirdest thing ever. I've even separated some of the skeptics before and had them sit in the worm room or the TV room. And then I've taken the people out that really wanted something to happen, and then things happen. So whatever it is about the skeptics are kind of the people who are non-believers. My ghosts in my building just absolutely will not even waste their time. So, but in the beginning, I used to have lots of skeptics come. Now, not so much. Most of the people that come on my tours are believers or have had great experiences, have been to other locations. So definitely over time it's changed. I had way more skeptics in the beginning.
We got 3 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Merle is here along with special guest Valerie Gregory. How do you keep people from tampering with the ghost, tampering with the spirits? Because I know on our tour here, when I was running it, we had people who were trying to move spirits on. We had dark psychics mess with the spirits. We've had the church come in and, secretly try and bless buildings to get the ghosts out, to get that darn paranormal out of here, right? How do you deal with people who try and tamper with the tour or the spirits themselves?
From the beginning, I tell them, these spirits are staying here. I don't need any of them to cross over. And most people are pretty good. I mean, I haven't come across that a lot. In the beginning, I did. But like I said, as time has gone on, I just have a different group of paranormal investigators that don't really want them to cross over either. I mean, I don't know. I do have some that are kind of out there, and I will just talk to them. Or a lot of times I'll stay with those groups instead of letting them roam free. I'll stay with them just so that I can control the group a little bit. But other than that, I just, they do what they do. But for the most part, I have pretty good customers. I think my prices are pretty high, so I think that keeps some people, I don't know. It's just a different group than from when I started. My prices went up. I tried to keep my prices with like Trans-Allegheny and Waverly Hills, all the big,
Right.
because I am in the top 10 most haunted location now. So I like to stick with what the other people do. And so, and my
what do you charge, if you don't mind me asking?
So like a 2-hour tour is $50 per person, but a 6-hour tour is $125. But if you go on the 6-hour tour, you get to go to the morgue. And this week, sorry, Merle, but I'm opening up the nurses building.
Come on.
Yeah, we just cleaned it. We just cleaned everything out. And so tomorrow I'm going in to board everything up, and it's going to be, I added another building that's on the same campus. So they get 6 floors, a morgue, and a nursing academy now. So yeah, it changes all the time.
In this place, you need 2 days, Dave. 6 hours feels like 20 minutes. Like it's so much.
Your group went. I felt like your group. It went fast. Time went really fast because you guys really investigated really well.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I'm going to cut you both off here because we do have to go to break here at the top of the hour. We got our main man, Merle. We got Valerie Gregory from St. Ignatius Hospital, Washington State. More ghost talk, more of her favorite stories. What you
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. We're going to turn things over to the dirty one, and that way he can have some fun.
I love that filth.
I had a other drawing, and then all of a sudden I came on, and Merle goes, "Hey, I need a request," and so I had to whip something up in about a minute and a half. That's all right. I like doing that. Thanks, Merle. I appreciate it. Keep me on my toes.
Yeah.
It was a shock to the system. My other cartoon was here. I can show you it anyways. Here. Oh, it's not going to work, is it? Because it's damned light. Well, whatever. I'll show you when it's all done, Merle. Anyways, it was the Carl, Stanton, and Alan, the three gray aliens, sitting at a table with a Ouija board, and Alan's saying, "Why don't we try one of those ghost boxes?" And Carl says, "Dad, don't worry. I've seen this on the television. What could go wrong?"
I literally think your art is my favorite art. I have everything you've given me in frames.
Excellent. Do you still have those art cards from Vegas from a million years ago?
I do.
Excellent. That was fun, just giving them out to random people.
Yep.
So what's new, Merle?
Living the dream. I've been doing a lot of the ghost hunting lately. I was at a Vancouver Police Museum doing actually a fundraiser this past week. That is one of the most haunted places I've been. It's kind of got an interesting catch to it. So you know how Dave has made reference to the Flight 21 stuff in the past?
Yeah.
Well, those plane victims were held at the Vancouver City morgue, in the overflow morgue where I was investigating. So from being at the crash site to like there, it's kind of interesting to connect those dots. And they have a lot of true crime artifacts displayed from like previous murders and missing people, and it's really interesting, and it's really haunted as well. So that makes it even more fun, right?
I think I was digging through some of my art. I was thinking about that the other day, and I believe I have another drawing that I need to send you.
Oh, snap.
Because you've slowly amassed all the Merle and Dave drawings. And with the little ghosties.
I love it.
I'll go to Vegas probably next year, Merle.
Sweet.
I have a lot on my plate right now.
Copy that.
That's a big 10-4 rubber ducky.
Copy that.
I actually have a rubber ducky.
I love it.
He's a little pirate rubber ducky.
This past week I did another podcast on ghostly activities with my buddy Jake. Shout out Jake if you're listening.
Hi Jake.
Where we had the Paranorthwest girls on the podcast, and we talked in depth about our investigation and what we experienced at St. Ignatius. And it was really fun. It was a really fun chat. So when y'all are done listening to this live, hop over to Ghostly Activities and download that episode and give it a listen.
Are you going to go back to that spooky place you and Varla and Preacher went to?
Oh, Zach Baggins' Haunted Museum. Absolutely. I'm already there in spirit.
Dave will go with you, but he'll have to bring his teddy bear.
He'll have to bring his teddy bear or a soother or,
I carry my blankie with me.
Yeah. Dave looks like a big blankie guy, doesn't he?
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah, definitely. Dave's got a favorite blanket.
100%.
I sleep with a teddy bear.
See, you're right. He's going to bring his teddy bear to the museum.
Mm-hmm. Why not? Dead Fish, how you doing? Who else jumped in here?
Dave's got his blue jeans on, and Merle's gonna have his corduroys on.
100%.
You notice I'm doing all Canucks captains for you tonight, Merle?
Oh, I like that one. That's a vintage one. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to hear about it.
Adventures with Beth, how are you? Yeah, Karen Dahlman. We got to get her back on the show. Dirty, there's one for you. Karen Dahlman.
She's my pal.
She'll come on. She loves coming on. We've got 30 seconds. Thank you tonight to Walter, Jake, T-Bone, and Gizmo for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And don't forget, if you're coming to Vegas, Tim Mothman will allow you one free tug on his goatee. One free tug.
Man. I was just asked him. I talked to him the other day to make sure he's coming too.
Here we go. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth as normal with our good friend Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers. All right. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Canatophobia. Canatophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our good friend Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, joins us each and every month for Ghosts of the Great White North. Tonight we are talking about St. Ignatius Hospital, a very haunted location in eastern Washington. We are joined by Valerie Gregory to talk about it. Thank you for joining us, Val and Merle.
Hey, Dave. I'm going to start this half hour off with a ghost story that happened the last time I was there.
Beautiful.
A week ago. This was the Nuns quarters. This is where old Merle almost did the old flinch and run, Dave. But we pushed through. It was me and two of the other investigators. We went up to the Nuns quarter. And I already was like, nah, just because it looks like a horror movie. Let's be real, Val. When you're going up the stairs, it's scary. And this would have been where the nuns lived back when it was a hospital, right? That's where they would have stayed. And I go up these really nice old wooden stairs with and I look to the left, Dave. So you go up these stairs. To the left, there's 2 rooms, and then to the right, there's a little hallway with a banister to another room. And when I looked up and I looked at the first room, I saw what looked like something in a person, maybe a priest or nun. You know, the black cloaks they wore. It looked similar. Kind of run from one room to the other. I had my camera pointed up. I haven't gone through my camera footage yet, so wouldn't that be amazing footage if I captured it? But Dave, it was the classic. It was really cold up there. Like the temperature dipped noticeably from everywhere else, and it wasn't because we were elevated there. And it felt really thick. And the fact that I saw this thing, it looked like I'm looking at you now, Dave. It's like an apparition. Right. So I kept my light on really low. I didn't have my night vision camera at the time. I was using my good camera at the time. I should have had night vision. but I tried to capture it, and this time I walked into the fire, so to speak, where I was trying to immediately go see if I could capture it further or make any sort of communication with it as well. And yeah, it full body apparitions are terrifying to see because your brain can't really process what's happening because you see it, but then it's gone. So it is, and I think that's what happened to a lot of people up there too. They see like a nun, correct? Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people see a nun, or they'll hear what sounds like somebody running up the stairs at them. And when you're up there, you're stuck. I mean, there's only one way out. You got to take those stairs. So it's pretty scary once you get up there. I would say that's the scariest part of the hospital for me. I'll even go in the basement by myself, but I do not like to go in the nuns area at all.
Have you had any experiences up there?
Yeah, I've heard the running up the stairs, and then it's also where we catch the lady scream.
Wow. Okay.
So, like almost every one of the TV shows or the YouTubers have caught a woman scream, and I think it's coming from the nuns area. And again, we're kind of located in an area that doesn't have a lot of like people outside. People aren't outside, so when we hear a scream inside, it's pretty shocking. But yeah, I've had some weird experiences, and I feel every time I walk up the stairs, I feel like they're just staring at me, and that they don't think it's okay that I'm there. I think they think it's okay that I'm in the hospital, but I don't think people were supposed to be in their space.
Mhm.
The nuns' apartments were only for them. Like nobody else was welcome up there because it was their quiet space. So now I'm sending all these people up to their space, and so I always feel like maybe I shouldn't be up there.
Yeah, no, it's the fact you feel trapped because literally there's one way in, one way out.
Yeah.
And I've seen The Conjuring with that nun in there, and she's terrifying. I don't want to see that in real life. Well, I kind of want to see that in real life. Let's be real. But the shows, one thing I know Dave and I have talked about is like you've had Ghost Adventures there. You were interviewed on Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through what it's like to have an actual? Because we just talked about the tourism, what it's like to have an actual show.
Yeah.
On location, and how long they're there for, and how much of it is actually investigating.
Yeah, so the TV shows are definitely different than the YouTubers. So TV shows take anywhere from 5 to 8 days, and they, depending on the TV show, they set up, they do B-roll, and they'll have actors come in because, like, you'll see if you watch the TV shows, when I tell the story, they'll reenact the story so that you can kind of see like kind of the story that I'm talking. Like one time on, I think it was Paranormal Lockdown, I told the story of a nun, which is Sister Johanna. And they actually had a nun dressed up, and as I was telling the story, they were reenacting this, what happened. And so you see a lot of that. And then at night is when they actually investigate. So yeah, they do investigate. They're in there, as long as a paranormal team is, or longer, sometimes overnight. Like Nick Groff and Katrina, they spent 3 days in there, and they really did spend 3 days in there. They slept in there. They came out to get fresh air, but that was it. They were in that building for 3 days. So yeah, they investigate, they set stuff up. It's amazing too. I would say Ghost Hunters was probably the biggest show that I had. They brought in a pretty big crew of people. This is the quietest group of people I have ever met in my entire life. As soon as they go in and they film, you could hear a pin drop outside, even though there was like 20 people sitting outside. I couldn't even believe how quiet they were and how professional they were. Ghost Hunters was probably my favorite group that came because they were just really great people, and they really did a great investigation. Like they spent a lot of time in there, took their time and set up their equipment, and then left stuff overnight. So like me and a cameraman would go lock up at night, like probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they left their stuff running so that they could catch stuff while nobody was in the building. The YouTubers are real efficient. They come in 6 hours and they produce their show in a week, and it's up and going. So it's pretty amazing to watch the different groups that come in.
Do you find, though, that there is a difference between the professionalism of the television shows and the YouTubers who come in who are looking for that scare factor or whatever it may be?
Yeah. The TV shows are really looking for the evidence. I mean, they're really, and they don't get scared at a lot of things. They've been doing it for years and years, and so they're used to it. But yeah, they're just looking for the evidence and more, I would say more research, and they love the history. Like that's what I like about the TV shows is they always ask you about the history and they tell the stories. Whereas the YouTubers are more of the scare factor, or they want the scream, or they want the running, or they want to hear stuff right then. So yeah, there is a big difference between the YouTubers, but both are fun. Both are fun to be with. I've really enjoyed the YouTubers that have come, Ryan and Shane and Garrett Watts, and all of those guys were just great. But yeah, it's definitely a different purpose. I think a different.
You had BuzzFeed there, right? They
yeah,
came.
That's Ryan and Shane. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they started their own Watcher. They're on Watcher now. They started their own channel. So yeah, they were great. Super nice guys.
Did you this is a curiosity question for me. When you've had the shows in like the Ghost Adventures, Hunters, and Paranormal Lockdown, did you experience activity or observe them experience activity like during their investigations?
Yeah, like with Nick Groff, I was in there with them quite a bit. And I saw a mist come out of a hallway. We all saw it at the same time, which was pretty crazy. And I even tried to recreate it because I was like, I do not know what this was. And they caught it, so it was really good. Their cameraman, he's their producer too, Rob, he got touched and he thought it was me. And I was like, that's not me, Rob. I'm not that close to you. So there was, yeah, I'm in there quite a bit with them. That I know that it's real. Like I was worried about that at first. I was like, well, is all of this real, or do they make this up? No, they don't make it up. They're hearing kind of the same things that I hear. So everything that I saw them do was real. And they caught evidence like I did. So yeah.
See, and I find that really interesting and kind of relief. It's a relief to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially with like the big player shows, right? Because they get a lot of grief because they're the big player shows, and people either get jealous or they don't like them for whatever reason. Like, I love all the shows. I love watching how they film. Personally, that's what I like. But it's just refreshing to hear, like from you, that they are getting actual, and you're experiencing it with them, all the evidence, and it's valid. It's cool. It's cool to hear.
Yeah. No, they're legit. They're great. They're great investigators too. So I learned stuff from them. I watch what they use for their equipment, because we offer equipment to all of our people on our tours. So we have like SLS cameras and REM pods, and so I always watch what they bring in on their tours, and then I usually will buy equipment so that my ghost hunters have it for our tours.
Yeah, you and I had some overlapping gears. I was like, damn, look at all the stuff she's got.
Yeah, I know. I love seeing what equipment people have.
But it's cool just to see for when like the regular ghost hunters or like the tourism people come in, they have those they have those tools to use to get the experiences.
Yeah, and the same tools that they use on the TV shows, because that's really why, most of the people come to my locations because they've watched a YouTube channel or they've watched Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures and so to be able to use that same equipment that those people use is, I think, crucial, because that's what people have kind of watched over the last 20 years is what those people have used.
Let's talk about some of the ghosts that you have there. Maybe
Yeah.
tell us about some of your favorites.
One of my favorite ghosts is Donald, and I knew Donald when he was alive. He had Tourette's, so he was the best cusser I've ever heard in my entire life. And they even gave Donald a job. His room was kind of in an isolated area in the building, but it was by the back door because he was so loud and he cussed all the time. And so they kind of had to keep him away from other people because of his loudness. But they gave him a job. So he got to greet the delivery men that brought stuff to the building at the back door. And they loved him because he just cussed all the time. But he signed for all of the items that came in. So, other places might have locked somebody like him up, but not this one. They gave him a job and they let the delivery people know, he has Tourette's. And back in the 1970s, that was probably something that nobody had ever seen before because a lot of people had been just locked up. But nope, they gave him a job, and he was one of my favorites. He's a great, great guy. Loved Halloween and loved Easter. So if you go into his room now, there's Easter bunnies and Halloween things in there. People bring him stuff. And then, of course, Rose is my all-time favorite. She, any lady that cusses at her finger, I'm going to like. So she drinks beer. So, I mean, who wouldn't love Rose?
And then one of the more, I guess, cranky, or don't use the word angry because that's harsh, but like maybe cranky was Michael's room. Tell us about him. He's room 312, right?
Yeah, Michael's room's right next to Rose's, and he was a kid who was in a bad car accident and so had brain trauma. And when he was in the car accident, it completely changed his demeanor. He became really mean. Only men could work with him. No women could go in there because he would try to beat him up. And so that's an interesting room to go into, especially if you're a woman, because you get a lot of cussing on the Phasma box or EVPs. So yeah, he was an interesting character, and every once in a while we can hear his wheelchair. He was in a wheelchair, and every once in a while we'll hear what sounds like a squeaky wheelchair down in his room. Yeah, he's an interesting one. Joe is another one that I knew. We called him Smoking Joe. He came to all my volleyball games. He always had a cigarette in his mouth. Remember, it was the 1980s. I think you could smoke anywhere. And every once in a while, I will smell cigarette smoke on the second floor, and it's almost like he's standing right next to me. And they called him the businessman. I don't know how he got that nickname, but that was his nickname, the businessman. Some of the other spirits is Agnes is one that I don't think's real happy. She was killed by Dr. Ferguson, and it was in the newspaper. He gave her an illegal abortion in 1904 because one of his friends got her pregnant. And she was a school teacher, so you could not be married or have kids. If you were a school teacher, you would lose your job. So he brought her into St. Ignatius and gave her 7 times the amount of medication that he should have. And he was a veteran doctor, so it wasn't like he didn't know what he was doing. And on her deathbed, she told her brother why she was actually in there. Because in the chart, it said she was in there because of abdominal pain. So he got arrested right after she died. And the guy who got her pregnant left and was never seen again. So it was quite the scandal in Colfax. But I do think Agnes is there. Every once in a while, you'll hear on the obulus, it'll say, "He killed me." Sometimes it'll say, "I was innocent." So we think Dr. Ferguson might be there too. There's just a lot of ghosts there, like a lot of spirits. It does help that we know the names of the people and the stories, because then it correlates to things that people get on their equipment, which really, the obulus will say names. It'll say Agnes sometimes. It'll say
Wow.
Joe. So that kind of helps us. Then we can tell the people there, we think it's this person.
One room I'd like to talk about, because I meant to bring it up when I was there, and Dave, this room would petrify you, man. It's on the 3rd floor, and it's full of dolls and ventriloquist dolls, and it looks like a nightmare. My word, you're just missing a couple creepy mannequins, and then you got a full smorgasbord of I don't want to go in there. What's with that room? Like, what started the whole creepy doll room?
So it was a nurse's station, but when I first went in there 10 years ago, it was full of stuffed animals and just to the ceiling. And so none of the volunteers would go in there because it was creepy. And so I go, okay, I'll clean out this room. So I threw all the dolls and all the toys away that were stuffed in this room. I did keep one doll, and he's in a case in there now. But on the first TV show I was on, I said, "Oh, this was the doll room." That's all I said. And now everybody brings these dolls. I always tell people I should have said it was the dollar bill room, because that would have been a great fundraiser. But it's now the doll room. So people bring the creepiest dolls. We even have people mail us stuff. A dentist from Tacoma mailed me a jar of teeth. It's in the doll room.
Why not?
Why not? Why not have a jar of teeth? Yeah.
Now, is there much activity in that room? Because, so one thing I like to think about, like with creepy dolls, haunted dolls, or things like that, is it a placebo effect because you've seen it on the shows, or is there actual energy attached to some of those items where people get evidence?
Yeah, I definitely think there's things attached to some of those dolls. We have a doll named Hannah that was brought to us by a girl from Seattle, and she said she was so haunted that she didn't want her in her house anymore. And so we have Hannah on a stand now because Hannah moved. I would find Hannah out in the hallway sometimes, and I knew I was the last person in the building. Damn. And so now Hannah stays in the room now. And then we have another doll that we call the demon doll that one of our county commissioners found at a yard sale and brought to us. But it literally it looks like a demon. It has wings, and on the wings it has pigs, which can't be good. Every time I had that doll in that room, nothing would go on. As soon as I moved the demon doll out in the hallway, then the spirits would talk again. So whatever was attached to the demon doll, the other spirits in there didn't like. So we had to remove that doll from that room. Now he's back in the room and it seems to be okay. But in the beginning, I couldn't have him in that room at all. He affected everything.
That is just creepy.
It is.
I know.
Anything to do with dolls.
It's terrifying. There's about 100 dolls in there now, I would say.
I'm going to bring one of my creepy haunted dolls and leave my footprint at St. Ignatius.
Well, on that note, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there because we are going to go to break. We have another half hour of Ghosts of the Great White North with our main man, Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, and our special guest from St. Ignatius Hospital, Valerie Gregory, is with us. We're having such a fun night talking paranormal. Let's continue it when we get back right after this, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
It's flying. Val, where would you like to take it for the last half hour?
Oh boy. I was trying to think of things we talked about when you were there. We talked about a lot of stuff when you guys were there.
Can you give us your best, creepiest stories of St. Ignatius?
Yeah, I
That's
could
what-
totally do that. Yeah.
The listeners love a good creepy story. Dave loves a good creepy story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Dave
got
loves
quite
a
a
good
few.
creepy story.
Quite a few creepy stories. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I could totally do that.
I want to sleep there overnight. That would be a dream.
I've
Yeah,
done it
that's-
like 10 times. It's terrifying.
That's what
I
you
was
said
afraid
about
of
Flight 21 too.
I was afraid of the people. I was afraid of the ghosts. I was like, oh my God, I don't know these people. What if they're a serial killer? And here I
Oh, I
am.
remember you telling me that. Yeah.
I was like, I put a chair in front of my door because I was afraid of the people, not the ghosts.
I will lock myself in. Hey,
You
Dave,
know-
I'll be right back in like. Be right
All
back.
right. All right. Why not? Why not? All right. Granola Grin, how are you? And got a couple questions here. And I will get to them. Oob, I got your question. New cameras look good, man.
Yeah, they do.
They do look good. If we can just get the audio figured out, we're going to be good.
Yep.
You know you're ill when Vicks inhaler does not stop the runny nose. Yeah, it's like, come on. Enough already.
What you could do, Dave, is you could take some of those earplugs and just plunk them into your nostril holes.
I could. Uh-huh. You having fun, Val?
Yeah, this is great.
Good.
Dave, it's cold today.
Merle really can't stay. Davy, it's cold outside. Come on, Merle. Hi, Luscious Jules. How you doing?
Hey, Dave, you should look at the picture before the show's over because it's you and Merle.
Uh-oh.
It's fantastic. I love this drawing.
This place is spooky. I wish I was in the woods with my Bigfoot friends. It's okay, Dave. I have my ghost box. We will be okay. Love it.
That's why Dave never goes and does spooky things with Merle because he's like, I gotta go hang out with my Sasquatch friends in the woods.
It's pretty much it.
Dave.
I'm not even going to argue that. Not even going to argue that.
All right, it's time to feed the cats snacks. They're like, why are you half hour late with the snacks? How come there are no snacks? I'm upset there are no snacks.
Good night, Dirty One. Thank you for your great artwork again.
Good night,
Good night,
Phil.
everybody. Have a good day, Merle.
You
Harass in the
too.
future. Good night.
That's Dirty Filth, everybody. A big thank you to Gizmo, T-Bone, Jake, and Walter for the great super chats tonight. Peppa H, how you doing? Oh, breaking news from Peppa H, Merle.
Oh, Merle.
Merle. They love the Merle around here, Valerie.
I can see that. That's awesome.
Yep. They love their Merle time.
Love a Merle time.
All right, we're coming back in 7 seconds, everybody. Kick off the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet called Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Let's go right to our main man, Merle, from the Paranormal Road Trippers here in Vancouver, British Columbia. And we are talking about ghosts of the Great White North. And tonight's special guest from St. Ignatius Hospital in Eastern Washington State, we have Valerie Gregory, and you wanted to get into her favorite scary haunting, Merle.
Scare us, Valerie. Give us your best top tier St. Ignatius.
Okay, this one actually just happened. I have quite a few, but I had a private tour in there, so there was 6 people. They were all up in the Nuns area, which is on the 6th floor, so the very top floor. And it was a blizzard. So one of my cameras that points outside, that looks at my parking lot, had a snowdrift on it. So I walked up to the 2nd floor, and I was trying to be as quiet as I could because I didn't want them to hear me because they were investigating. And I was cleaning off the camera. And while I was cleaning off the camera, my back was towards the door. And all of a sudden, I could hear someone walking on the paint chips. So now St. Ignatius is in kind of a rough shape, so our paint chips fall off onto the ground. So something was making a crunching noise right outside the door of the room that I was standing in. And I thought it was them. So I said, "Oh, hey, it's just me. I was trying to be quiet. I just have to clean off this camera." And I got no response. Then I heard the paint chips again. So then I look at my phone because I can see on the camera that they're still on the 6th floor investigating. So they are 3 floors away from me. And so I walk out in the hallway and there's nothing out there. So this is terrifying. So I start walking down the hall. As I'm walking down the hall, and I've never had this happen in the whole time that I've been at St. Ignatius, I literally felt something go through me. It was freezing cold, and I stopped, and I couldn't even believe it. And it wasn't cold on the other side, but it literally went through me to the point that it moved my hair. I could feel my hair do this. I couldn't even believe it just because I've never had that happen. And then I felt just an overwhelming feeling of just sadness. Like I was so sad. I was like, I don't even know how to explain what I was feeling. I instantly went upstairs to where they were and I told them what had just happened. And then they came back down to the 2nd floor and I said, "You have to investigate down here because something's down here." And the rest of the night, it was crazy on the 2nd floor. They got voices. They heard the walking on the paint chips.
Wow.
They felt the coldness. And so whatever was going on the 2nd floor that night, it was not leaving. Like, and it was very active and it really let us know that it was there. That was my probably the latest thing that I've had happen at St. Ignatius. But again, I've been there 10 years and never had that happen before. So for something like that to happen, it was shocking.
It'd be terrifying.
Yeah, it was terrifying. Especially since I was on that floor by myself. And I'm the tour guide that never has a flashlight. I'm always the one that I have one and it's dead. So here I am in the dark walking around. Yeah, that's me.
Do you think then that that spirit who kind of invaded your body just wanted to let you know of its power?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was trying to get my attention by walking on the paint chips. And for it to make that noise, it has to be strong enough to crunch a paint chip that's laying on the ground. Yeah, I think then they were just like, hey, I'm here. I've been kicked one time, and it was so hard that I thought it was a person. When I turned around, the person was way down the hall, like nowhere near me. So yeah, I think they're just trying to get my attention. I don't think they're trying to hurt me. I didn't feel like they were trying to hurt me or anything, bad. I just think, yeah, they're trying to say, hey, I'm here. This is me.
Earlier, we were talking about the different energies people bring in when they're investigating. People are negative, people are cranky or sad or happy or whatever cards they're dealt, they bring them into your hospital there. Have you ever had more darker people come in and bring in darker energy and have it like maybe even like be left there or linger, or like tell us a story like that?
Yeah. So I had one guy come in and he was definitely like no person I had ever met. He kept playing stuff he had something on his computer and he kept playing it. It was playing backwards, which creeped me out. Because I'd never heard anybody play anything backwards. And he said, oh, they can talk through this, but they talk backwards. And I'm of the era that if you heard something backwards, it was demonic. I mean, all the 1980s bands play stuff backwards. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this can't be good. And so he really creeped me out. And then he started talking in some type of a tongue. Some type of a different language that creeped me out. And I finally had to ask him to leave. He's the one guy I asked to leave. And he was outside and he did something to the outside of my building, because that's when we saw the black mass fly down the hallway at us and we all ducked. Now, one of the other tour guides was standing outside and she saw what he was doing.
Wow.
She said he was speaking in tongues and he was doing something on the door that we actually saw the thing come out of. So yeah, there's people like that you're like, no, I don't want any of that. I never knew if I really believed in any of that, but I definitely don't want to find out if that's real. So that's why I try to tell people, we're going to steer clear of that. Let's just try to communicate in a nice way, as if these people were still alive. Because, a lot of my spirits, I think, were developmentally disabled. So, I mean, they're the nicest people in the whole wide world. So I'm like, let's be kind. Let's talk to them as if they're still alive.
Well, the interesting part about that is we had something similar happen here with a dark psychic, where we had one ghost in one of our buildings. Her name is Mary. She would literally allow us, like we'd put a bunch of K2 meters on the floor and we'd let her walk in and she'd light them all up. And then she would give permission for people to come in and actually touch her energy. And then one day, this dark psychic comes in and Mary's just not there. Like she was there for a blip of a second. And I looked right at her and I said, "What'd you do?" And she goes, "I just crossed her over."
No.
And I said, why? Well, she asked me to go. I said, no, she didn't.
No.
Because I knew this lady was a vindictive lady if she didn't get her way. And she had been trying to get the paranormal tour taken away from me so she could run it and make money. So what she did was she got rid of our one of our most popular ghosts. And we tried to bring her back, but there just seems to be this bubble over the room that she now doesn't trust people.
Yeah.
And she won't go back in there.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I have a couple of questions for our listeners here for you. And we're going to start off with Derek here, who's asking, Merle and Valerie, how often do you pick up attachments from handling haunted objects? Merle, do you want to take that first?
I'm retired from getting attachments and haunted objects. I'm out of that stuff. It happened a lot for a brief period in my paranormal career. My career, weird. But I got fixated with obtaining haunted or creepy objects from people, and maybe a little too much. I've got rid of a lot. I've really thinned out my herd of. There's a 1914 Ouija board here, but don't worry about that. But like the other things that I've had in my house creeped me out, man. Like I've heard growls from my living room brought in from maybe things following me, or items people have shipped me stuff from the States, from the UK, from Canada, because they see on my Instagram it says haunted artifacts. So yes, if they send them, I'll take them. But it happens more often than not. I think I've gotten better at putting boundaries up with my stuff. It's kind of like, if you want to be in my place, you have to stay with your stuff and not come in my bedroom or my hallway or my washroom. Just, you can have your creepy corner in my place, but other than that, it's no, you can't. And if I feel an object is a little darker, or I don't want to use the word powerful, but very present, I tend to not keep it anymore, based on just previous messes with your head a little bit, which could be a different story, or for a different show. But no, yeah, it happens more often than not.
I had one thing follow me home one time. I didn't know this could happen because, again, I was just a tour guide. And I could hear my furniture being moved in my living room, and my dog even reacted to it, and she never reacts to anything. My son heard it. He came running into my room, and he said, something's moving furniture. And I go, I know, I could hear it. So the next day I just said, whoever you are, you have to come back to St. Ignatius with me. And then finally I had somebody tell me, you have to tell them to stay here because they're so curious of who you are and why you keep showing up here. And I was like, oh, I had no idea that they could like come with me or be that curious. But yeah, now before I leave, I always say, Clear, stay here and I'll come see you tomorrow, but you can't come home with me. I do think things are attached to the dolls. I think they're
that room's terrifying.
So every single time I leave that room, I'm like, you have to stay in here. Because I do think the dolls have attachments on them. Yeah. Especially there's 2 or 3 that terrify me.
Yeah, the attachments are no jokes.
Yeah.
I used to, well, no, I still like the haunted objects and stuff like that, but I'm a lot more cautious with them. I have a lot of cautionary tales. Next question, Dave.
All right. Next question comes from Joe. Do ghost investigations stir up the spirits in a negative way for the location? And when the investigators go home and everyone has to deal with a bunch of pissed off ghosts, does that happen, Valerie?
Yes. Yes, sometimes it does. Certain groups or certain paranormal teams will get the ghosts kind of riled up, and then I'm the one who's stuck in there, like, and I'm there by myself. So when they leave for the night at like 2:00 in the morning, I'm the one who has to shut down the rooms and shut down my gift shop and everything by myself and gather my equipment and then walk out. And there has been nights where I heard a little girl say, "Get out." And I don't think she was talking to me. I think she was talking to that group. And I've heard a woman scream in there. I've heard shuffling, which sounded like they were running towards me, and I just ran out the door. So yeah, we are the ones that are stuck in there after everybody leaves. So, be kind, and be positive to our ghosts because it helps us out too.
100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's go. I got a pair of questions from Valerie here. Have either of you ever been attacked while at the hospital, like getting scratched or any other physical?
Yeah, in the beginning, I got kicked and nobody was near me, and it was a pretty hard kick. And then I have been scratched one time on the back, only one scratch though. And then myself and another tour guide have felt something push us, but not push us in a way that it was mean, more like they were trying to get around us, if that makes sense. I turned because I thought somebody was trying to get around me and there was nobody there. So yeah, I have been physically touched in the hospital before. Yeah.
Merle, you like to be attacked. I like attacking on them.
I'm retired from that too.
You are not retired. I mean, we have it on video of you about to abandon us in the forest because there's things tapping on vehicles.
You're very correct, Dave. Yes. Have I been scratched at St. Ignatius or any sort of thing like that? No. Have I had my arm touched or scratched? Yeah, I at the Bailey House in Merritt, I've had my arm kind of slapped, which was startling. But Dave brings up a good story when we were investigating the Flight 21 crash site. I was sitting in Samantha Moe, our friend's truck, and I heard tapping all around the vehicle, kind of like intentionally winding me up and giving me a bit of a fright. And I think I handled it like a champ, but I was petrified. I was scared because I don't like to be out of control or feel like I'm out of control. That's a big no-no for me. And in situations when you're doing paranormal investigating, if a ghost wants to touch you, scratch you, or make themselves known, they're going to, if you like it or not. And that rule applied with Sam's truck when I heard all the tapping all around the truck. So yeah, it happens often, and you have to show utmost respect to spirits. You have to don't challenge them. Nobody needs to be the come at me bro guy. We don't need to do that. Just have conversations with spirits to avoid the attack.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I always tell people. Like, if you did that to a human being, they would attack you. They would not, they wouldn't like you either. So yeah, I always tell people just be nice and be kind.
All right, Merle, another question from Valerie, because she actually lives in Quesnel, British Columbia, and she knows Mandy, and she's actually heard about your story of almost being killed there, but she doesn't know the details.
All right, story time.
You got 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. 2015, we were investigating Mandy the Haunted Doll at the Quesnel Museum. I was with a previous team, and this would have been a time when I wouldn't say I'd learned the ropes of respecting of haunted artifacts because I'd be accountable for my actions. I didn't think a spirit could inhabit an artifact or a doll to the extreme of what I'm about to tell. True story, cautionary tale. So I noticed one investigator, he was fixated, tranced on Mandy the Haunted Doll, and I'm like, what's this guy doing? And so I'm kind of side-eyeing Mandy just to see what's going on with this little haunted doll. but I'm also watching the other investigator. Like, he's kind of looked like he was mumbling something under his breath, but then he got up, he looked at me. It didn't look like his eyes were all weird, and then he went outside and got sick, and he was panicky. He didn't know what happened. He didn't know. He lost time. He lost track of time of what was going on with this doll. I put Mandy the Haunted Doll on the same team as Annabelle, as Robert, as all of them. She's in the same league, so you have to respect her. So me kind of like so at this point I'm nervous of this. I'm like, what am I doing here? And so I'm looking at Mandy. I kind of made eye contact with this doll, and then I'm like, okay, she's creepy. But before we investigate, I'm gonna go out to my vehicle. I think I was getting like a Gatorade or like a snack or something. And the last moment I remember was walking outside towards my truck, and then that was it. And then fast forward, time loss, and I wake up to the team's medium shaking me outside of the museum, walking towards Highway 1, like towards traffic. And that's not like me. I wasn't on anything, no drugs, no alcohol. I was on Gatorade and peanuts. And that was a nice, humble reality check of what you're dealing with.
Mhm.
It was from that moment on, I was utmost respect for these type of objects, to hear them out. And that's why I think I've been attracted to haunted objects and wanting to collect them or document them, document the haunt, document the evidence to see why or what haunts them. And I can thank Mandy for that journey. So Mandy is no joke, and that did happen. And I often think about that when I think about even going into the interior. Mandy the Haunted Doll story comes playing in my head.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. We got time for one more question here. This one is for Valerie from Beth. As a tour guide, did you ever find that info given to you in the beginning was false?
Yeah, like the history or
Yeah, I would assume that.
Yeah. Some of their history we had to look into and really check like names out and information. But our little newspaper did such a great job of recording everything. So back in the even the 1970s, they could still put names of people who were in the hospital. So like if you went in the hospital to have a child, it was in the newspaper. Like, so there was no HIPAA rules. There was nothing like that. So we found a lot of information just through like our historical society and online and newspapers.com. So most of our information was truthful. But yeah, I have heard a few stories that I could never find out if they were real or not. So I don't know if they're false, but there's a few that I don't have like the facts about.
Valerie, we are running out of time. We got about a minute left here. Could you well, first off, I'm going to say big thank you for coming on the show
Thank
with
you.
Merle and myself
Thanks for
on
having
Spaced
me.
Out Radio, and hope you had a lot of fun with us.
It was
Tell
great.
us, tell everybody where they can find your tour.
Yeah, so if you go to colfaxhauntedhospital.com, I have 3 different locations. I have an old hotel, the Perkins House, and St. Ignatius that you can investigate. Come see me.
I think that's great. And Merle, where can people find your videos?
The Paranormal Road Trippers on YouTube. You can find on Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the place, Dave. And come on Instagram. That's where you'll see where we talk about a lot of our journeys.
Love it. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller, Little Timmy James in studio. Spaced Out Radio's Hour 3 is next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. That was awesome. That one,
Yeah.
we didn't even get to talk about the other locations. We were action packed the whole time.
That's okay. I got them in at the end. It was good. It was good.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Merle. I'll
St.
give you a call
Ignatius
tomorrow. I
is the
got to
best,
talk to you about
so
some stuff.
That's the main one.
Awesome. We did. Yeah. Thank you, Valerie. Sounds good, Dave.
All right. See you guys. Thank you, Valerie. All right. There they are. We'll be right back, everybody. Phew.
Oh, fuck. It's in tight, man.
Man alive. This is getting old.
Quickly.
Getting old quick. right. Yeah, you're good. Do that again. Oh, yeah, there is the 1 second. Dave, change your name or change your damn air filter. No, it's just cold going around our town right now. Yeah. And I got it. But I think what I might have to do is put some distilled water in my...
In the papper?
Yeah.
Good idea.
I might have to do that. I am feeling mentally, physically better, but I'm just not feeling like it's right there. Yeah. All right. Big thank you tonight to Walter, Jake, T-Bone, and Gizmo for the great super chats. Greatly appreciate your love. And don't forget you can shop at our Space Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. It's about the level of my...
Long swampy.
Yeah, we're going to come back in about 5 seconds. Here we go with final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Canatophobia. Canatophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I left the military in 1995 and moved to Colorado a couple of years later. My buddy also moved from California to the same area. We spent a lot of time outdoors, fishing, camping, snowboarding, and downhill mountain biking. One day, my buddy and I were heading up to go fishing at Cheeseman Reservoir near Deckers. We decided to change plans and explore somewhere else as we got close. While driving through the mountains, we found a narrow, single-track road and, for whatever reason, decided to take it. About 2 miles in, a camper shell, or topper, suddenly flew out in front of our truck. I slammed on the brakes. We stared at each other confused, like what the hell had just happened? I told him we needed to get out of there and move the shell off the road so we could keep going. I started getting out of the truck, but he wouldn't budge. I figured maybe he couldn't open his door because of the tight space on the single-track road. Luckily, the shell had landed on its roof, so I managed to drag it off the road by myself. I returned to the truck and we continued until we ended up at Wellington Reserve near Bailey, Colorado. We fished there for a bit but didn't have much luck. The strange thing was that my buddy was acting off the entire time we were there, talking to himself. Every now and then I'd ask if he had something to say to me, but he would just say no. So now I'm feeling completely uneasy. We eventually drove home. I lived in Castle Rock and he lived in Colorado Springs. Usually I'd hear from him a couple of times a week to make plans for the weekend. But after that day, I didn't hear from him for about 2 months. When I tried calling, he just wouldn't answer. Eventually he asked if I could come to the Springs to help clean the carpets at his townhome. I went and we started talking. He suddenly said, "What do you think about what we saw?" I had no idea what he was talking about. I asked him what he meant and he explained. He told me that when the camper shell flew in front of the truck and I got out to move it, He was about to get out too, until he looked over and saw something standing there. He said it was about 9 or 10 feet tall. It looked at him, and he looked at it. Then, in just 3 steps, it turned and disappeared into the brush. He said that's why he didn't get out of the truck. He was terrified. When I didn't hear from him for 2 months, he told me he hadn't slept at all. Not a single wink. Eventually, he packed up and moved back to California. Now he lives in Texas. We talk every now and then, but, he won't really discuss that day. Not at all. I believe him. I do. I didn't see anything or smell anything unusual that day, but I believe he saw a 10-foot tall Bigfoot standing there. And while I was outside pulling the shell off the road, he didn't say a word about what he saw. He hasn't been the same since.
Never the same when you get a good Bigfoot close encounter. That's for sure. Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another crazy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, and you'll get it right there. You will. Here's the UFO report. Here comes Tim James.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, little Timmy James, good to have you back in studio, my friend. Thank you for coming on in.
Well, you're more than welcome, sir.
Yeah, it's always good to have you here, and always a good night when Merle is here.
Yeah, gotta love Merle.
Now, you haven't met him face to face yet, have you?
No.
Oh yeah, you're gonna like Merle.
No doubt. Boy, that camera makes. See how big my area is now.
Radio can't see the camera.
No, I know that, but I'm talking to you.
Yep. You look good.
Well, I don't know about that.
You look good on the radio.
Yeah, well, that's about it.
It's a man who has a face for radio and voice for print, everybody.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, how you feeling? You're sounding rough, bud.
I am feeling rough, too.
Okay,
It's one of these sinus and chest colds.
Yeah.
It's a deep one.
And it will not let you go.
No,
Well, that sucks. So
yeah, it's like one of the old Steelheart songs, Never Let You Go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Good. Nice reference, my
You
friend.
like that?
Yeah, that's really
That's
good.
A good tune. That's a good tune. UFOs are a little bit slow right now.
Yeah.
We had the couple of videos from Jeremy Corbell that we talked about. And a lot of people still talking about the interview that was kind of feisty between Dr. Stephen Greer and Jesse Michaels and everything. But, it's a calm before the storm, man. That's seems where we are right now. We always seem to go into these lulls for months and months, and then all of a sudden we can't get enough news coming up here. So,
yeah, for sure.
What do you got for us?
Well, exactly like you said, I was digging through some stuff today and ran into some interesting news. So we'll start off. NASA is apparently using AI to now study UFO or UAP, whichever term that they want to use. So in recent months, the world has witnessed, obviously, an incredible surge in UFO sightings in the news, leaving the media and experts scratching their heads about the origin of this phenomenon. Now NASA has been taking matters into its own hands and studying these events using AI. So, UFOs have been the subject of speculation and fascination for decades. In a report released last year, NASA revealed that it has identified more than 510 UAP UFOs sightings over the years, with 144 of those still unexplained. This means there's been at least one sighting per month on average. Of the ones that remain unexplained, they could be new experimental aircraft, cutting-edge drone technology, unusual weather phenomenon, or yes, even something of extraterrestrial origin. Previously, the U.S. Congress and the Pentagon released a report about their own findings on UAPs, shedding light on a subject that has long been relegated outside the confines of scientific inquiry. This and other official public proceedings about extraterrestrial life, including a U.S. congressional subcommittee hearing that featured purposed alien remains earlier in the last little while, fueled public curiosity even more. NASA has stepped up to the plate. apparently. The agency commissioned a new investigation to analyze UAPs and UFOs in a more systematic and scientific manner. It aimed to leave no asteroid unturned. Analyzing all available video and data and firsthand accounts collected so far about UAPs to gather evidence. What sets NASA's approach apart is its commitment to transparency and open-mindedness. Sorry. Its prime directive: to understand and analyze UAPs from a scientific perspective. We want to shift the conversation about UFOs from sensationalism to science, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said in a previously released report for an independent team consisting of 16 members. These members included scientists, aviation, artificial intelligence experts, and retired NASA astronaut Scott Kelly, the first American astronaut to spend nearly a year in space. It found no conclusive evidence of extraterrestrial life, but new scientific techniques are needed to continue further exploration, and that AI has been essential for identifying these sightings. Now, through data collection, curation, and distribution, NASA has created a database that will analyze using machine learning and AI tools, according to the report. Like how neural networks have helped contribute to participating physics, astronomy, and other sciences in the past, the same techniques would be adapted to UAP research. With the right coding and adapting an extensive data set NASA is assembling, although the report also cautioned that at present, analysis is limited by the quality of data available. The goal is to eliminate the negative perception surrounding UFOs and UAPs by bringing rigor, objectivity to the phenomenon by providing facts instead of assumptions about these objects. NASA's commitment to unraveling the mysteries of UAPs highlights the purpose of science, demonstrating a truth based on science and not conjecture. Ultimately, whether they find concrete answers or not, this venture promises to expand our understanding of the universe we all live in.
Here's my thing with NASA.
Right.
You've lied for 60 years.
Right.
You've lied. Why do we need to take UAP sightings, whatever you want to call it, UFO sightings from you and any serious work that you have done on this when you have denied your own past?
For sure.
I don't think, and this is my opinion on this, I'm not being a journalist here. I'm taking my journalist hat, put my hat off and putting my Dave Scott opinion on this. Okay. But I don't think any of us should listen to NASA about anything UFO/UAP until they come up and get into their records, until they stop lying about their own personal cover-up. You know, I had a good chance to talk to Darcy Weir at UFOCon, and he did an incredible movie. And I believe it can be found on Amazon and Hulu and Tubi about NASA, where it's all public record. Everything he does is public record.
Okay.
And you can actually hear the audio of astronauts saying, I'm being followed by something. Or read the transcripts of the astronauts going to the moon. Yes, there is a Santa Claus. Or the X-15 pilot talking about a craft following him at, I think, 300,000 feet above Earth. We know there is no other plane on this planet that can do that.
Exactly.
And yes, this is happening. And so for any report to come out of NASA where they were like, oh my God, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
It is baloney. And I get so mad every time. And I know you do this on purpose. Okay. But I get so mad every time I hear NASA and UAP or NASA and UFO put together.
Right.
Because if anybody should know that this phenomena exists, it's NASA.
Sure.
They should know. They do know.
Of course.
But the cover-up goes along with everything that is wrong that we are expecting to come out of the U.S. government
Yep.
and the secrets. There is no transparency with NASA. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned,
Mm-hmm.
anything that NASA does regarding UFOs/UAP is malarkey,
Right.
and it needs to be tossed in the trash bin, because until they can open up about themselves and what they have been hiding for years,
Right.
they don't deserve to talk about this subject. Get out of the sandbox. This is our sandbox.
Yeah. No, I get
Okay? Get out. My opinion. Your thoughts?
it. I just love bringing up NASA with you. I really do. But yeah, you're totally right. I like the way that they come out, and it's the grandiose, we've got this and we're all okay and we've got you and we want to be transparent. And you're right. Everything's been tucked into the tickle trunk and locked away. Right. It's like, guys, come on. So yeah.
By the way, anytime you can reference Mr. Dress Up,
Right.
with the tickle trunk, that's good.
That's
good.
Like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath, but it was something to report, and it was about your favorite topic, NASA. So,
well, I mean, here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
They wasted $100,000, and realistically, $100,000 to them is like $20 to you and I.
Sure.
Okay, we blow it on anything. So that study they did for $100,000 was useless. Okay, and in absolute denial.
Yeah.
Bill Nelson looks like a fool every time he stands up to the podium and talks about these UAPs, as he calls them, right?
Right.
He looks like a fool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And what we need is, I'm going to challenge our Spaced Out Radio listeners here.
Cool. Okay.
Especially those on X.
Okay.
Every time you see NASA or Bill Nelson on X, tweet out anything about UFOs/UAPs, hammer them about what is in your closet.
Yeah.
Don't speak until you open up your closet. Because they are a major, major part of the cover-up. They could easily end this entire debate.
Of course.
But they don't. And you know what? They make us look like fools. They make the public look like fools.
Yeah, agreed. So there's some CIA stuff. There's a lot of topics, a lot of CIA stuff going on with the UFO declassified information and stuff. So I ran across a couple. And this one today, the CIA documents reveal secret research on the possibility of alien invasions that were intentionally withheld from the public. Say it's not so. So declassified CIA documents revealed that the U.S. government was assessing the possibility of an alien invasion during the 1950s and the 1960s. The first well-known sighting of a UFO can be traced back to 1947, when businessman Kenneth Arnold claimed to see a number of flying saucers in Washington state. While UFO obsession persists to this very day, sightings have spiked at different points in history. According to various declassified documents shared via UFO advocacy group Disclosure Party, abnormal numbers of reports during the 50s and 60s prompted a joint venture from the US and Australian governments to assess extraterrestrial reports. The 58-page document shared by the National Archives of Australia states the project ran from 1957 to 1971 and evaluated the likelihood of an alien invasion. The research ran alongside at a similar time to Project Blue Book, a study of UFOs by the U.S. Air Force that began in 1952, following a bunch of sightings in the skies above Washington, D.C. To prepare the public for the possibility of contact, 41 previously classified reports were released for publication. The document states physicist Howard Robertson would chair a scientific panel on the reports, concluding there was no evidence of a direct threat to the national security in the objects cited. Project Blue Book would later be canceled in 1969 with the focus shifting towards public education around UFOs. However, it would now appear intelligence officers were continuing the investigation and to further their knowledge. The document goes on to state that former CIA Director Admiral Hillenkotter, Major D. Fournette, and others all publicly stated that the U.S. government knew UFOs were extraterrestrial, but were withholding the fact from the public. Restrictions on how individuals were able to discuss UFOs were subsequently tightened, with active personnel threatened with up to 10 years in jail and up to a $10,000 fine should they speak out. So just imagine that. This is what, in the 50s and 60s? That's a lot of money back then. So the reports also revealed how the CIA shifted their tactics towards explaining UFO phenomenon publicly, instead of focusing on methods of debunking sightings. According to a statement from Harry Turner, who is head of the Australian Department of Defense Joint Intelligence Organization, he said, by erecting a facade of ridicule, the U.S. hoped to allay public alarm. The memo continued to reduce the possibility of the Soviets taking advantage of the UFO mass sightings for either psychological warfare or actual warfare purposes. It's also believed the facade allowed security forces to look at developing aircraft which emulated UFO performances. This included the failed Canadian Avro saucer and aircraft developed at the turn of the decade that reflected popular ideas of what the UFO spacecraft would look like. So, doesn't surprise me one little bit. CIA was really, they're holding, there was something going on. So if you want to look it up, there it is documented, and they've got a plethora of unredacted documents and that you can go through. I was reading some of them today, and holy cow, that's a lot of reading and trying to piece it all together. Very interesting though. Lots of highlighted areas instead of redacted. So good read if you can find the stuff. Have a look at it. There was some on X, and it's in the government. It's been released in the U.S. government archives, so you can check it out there as well.
I think it's important that those documents keep coming out. I mean, they keep leaking, but we have to remember too, they're only leaking what they allow us to see.
Of course. Yeah.
Right? We're not going to they're going to make sure that there is nothing there of substance.
No.
You know, I mean, we're literally at beige Volvo colors. You know what I'm saying?
It's empty calories.
Yeah. Yeah. They're telling us they're giving us tequila, and really it's just water.
Right. Exactly. So, there's a lot of CIA stuff going on, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that after the break. But, it's interesting. And like I say, the read's really good. And if you're into reading all those kind of sideways faxed pages that aren't redacted, have at her. Lots of good information in them for sure.
Oh, I absolutely agree. We got about a minute to go here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's CIA, NASA.
We could talk about the Ark of the Covenant.
Well, we'll figure that part out coming
absolutely.
up here. I mean, hey, we're allowed to play. We're allowed to play.
Your show, your rules.
Yeah, I got some rules around here. I got some rules.
Excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
Want to remind everybody that if you miss portions of this show, you can always check out our archives on YouTube or any major podcast network, because you know what? We keep them free.
No way.
You know why we keep them free, Tim?
Because that's the way you want it.
That's
Dave.
Exactly the way that I want it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And if you don't like it being free, tough.
Yeah, suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up, because it is always free.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it that way.
Yep.
Why
for
not?
sure.
Why
for
not?
Sure.
Coming up next, we're going to continue with UFO Report. Timmy James is here. It'll be a good one. Final half hour next.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
Did you get the dude that Michael Kratzios story?
No.
Okay, I'll bring it up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Michael Kratz. Oops. I did not. How do you spell his last name, do you?
Kratzios. What is a French debate tonight?
Yeah, it was. He's a business professional.
Excuse me.
Get out.
Apparently, just let's read the pollsters here that old Mark there didn't do too well.
Oh, no. No, apparently I think they were.
But CBC was calling it a victory for Mark. Yeah. Everybody on X is saying that he just got waxed in the debate tonight.
And I even on the radio, I was listening to CBC radio, and it sounded like he didn't do very well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh.
Wish the taps would just turn off.
Yeah, no doubt. You need a big hot tub.
Oh, yeah. Dave like a good hot tub.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. The problem is getting out.
You don't want to, or it's just hard?
It's so hot. Sometimes your body just overheats.
Yes.
Then you get out, then you're cold. You want to go back in, but then it's hot again.
Yeah.
I hate that. That bugs me. Big time bugs me about hot tubs.
Oh, I'm okay with hot tubs. It's saunas and steam rooms that I can't do. Can't breathe in them.
Yeah, steam rooms I struggle in. But once I get my breath in there, it's like good.
Really? I can't handle them.
Yeah, it's because you're unattractive.
It's because I got gout.
We know about the audio and video. Remember I told you guys right at the beginning of the show to let people know that we just got new cameras and for some reason we have a 1 second delay on things. This is one of those situations right now where you guys aren't bailing me out.
Hey, look, it's Godzilla. Oh, my goodness.
What camera are we using? J5.
J5 creates?
Yeah, J5 create.
Yeah.
1080p.
Definitely much clearer. There's no question. Just got to bring them in.
Yeah. We got to fix the lighting on yours. My lighting's good, but yours sucks.
It's the glare.
It totally is the glare. We're just going to have to put a wig on you.
I've been there before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right, we get down to a minute here.
Yeah, I noticed your lighting actually the other night when I was watching from home. The different. I don't know if you did something with these ones or whatever, but it's a little bit more tonal. If that makes any sense.
I don't know.
Looks good, buddy.
I don't know what the hell it is. All right, big thank you tonight to Walter, Jake, T-Bone, and Gizmo for the great super chats. Thank you very much for the love. 15 seconds. Here we go. Let's kick off the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. The UFO report continues on here with our good friend little Timmy James. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for listening wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Yes, Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, little Timmy James.
Yeah.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you.
Weird story that the UFO world is going nuts on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, because we like to go nuts on absolutely everything. Right?
What?
So, Science and Technology Advisor to the President of the United States, Michael Kratsios, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Kratsios, former Undersecretary of DOD and U.S. CTO, made an extraordinary statement without explanation. He says that in the United States, technologies already permit us to manipulate time and space.
What?
So immediately, the UFO world goes nuts over this.
Yeah, okay.
Thinking, well, we got aliens. There's just more proof we got some aliens. What's your thoughts on that?
But okay, well, this is the first I've heard of the story. So yeah, we tend to do that. We tend to go a little crazy. I'm not 100% sure how to take that. I have to see what else. Tell me more, I guess is what I'm trying to get to.
But this is the interesting part about that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the stuff we hear that's coming out of Area 51 and places like this.
Right.
In my opinion.
Okay.
Okay. This is what they're talking about when it comes to Lockheed Skunk Works being 50 to 100 years ahead of what we are seeing today. Does this make sense to me? Yeah, it does. And don't forget, when you go into space, you actually are time traveling.
Okay, fair enough. Yes.
So Katy Perry is now a time traveler, even though everybody's ripping on the lady crew for not being astronauts when you're only up there for like 8 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
interesting.
I just thought that was an interesting tidbit to throw in.
I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of people. Well, shamans and stuff say that you can manipulate time, or there's no such thing as time. I mean, there's people that believe all that, and that's great. I don't know much about it. I shouldn't say it like I don't believe it. I don't know very much about it, but yeah, if it's happening, that'd be interesting. I'd like to know what's going on with that for sure. For sure.
What else you got for us, Chief?
Well, what I have, let's see. There was the clearest, allegedly the clearest UFO sighting yet. The internet is abuzz as video captures a strange light in the sky. Wow, there's a surprise. So a viral video showing strange moving lights in the night sky has stirred up excitement online, with many calling it the clearest UFO footage ever. A compilation video recording unexplained lights moving creepily across partly cloudy skies has gone viral on the internet. Seen in several parts of the U.S. and Canada, the clips revealed glowing balls and colorful lights changing direction and lining up straight, fueling the mounting questions about where they came from. In contrast to the typical grainy UFO footage, the high-definition nature of this footage impressed many, with many referring to it as the most clear recording of UFOs to date. While the time and place has not been confirmed, the footage has caused quite a buzz on the internet. So I'm going to stop right there for just a second. I actually saw some videos of people that had taken it in Vancouver. So there is a little bit of identifying. And if you go out there and you have a look, there is some identifying videos and where they're from. So this video was posted on X and has already been viewed over 1 million times. The caption stated, "This unusual light was captured by witnesses in the United States and Canada. Witnesses described colorful UFOs and other unexplained events illuminating the sky." Predictably, responses came pouring in. Some users rolled with the extraterrestrial script, while others met it with humor or disdain. I wouldn't have believed all of this until I recorded one myself, one user stated. Another dismissed the logic. Here's my problem with this. Why would alien spaceships have lights on them if they want to get here incognito? We've heard that question before. I'm sure they have the capability to see what's around them without lights. Fair enough. The joke continued. Extremely smart aliens from another world visiting Earth flashing low-grade LED lights were not on my 2025 bingo card. One commenter joked. Another cracked. That's all the sparkly crap Katy Perry left there yesterday, just now entering our atmosphere. Some others complained of exhaustion at seeing the same material over and over again. You know what? I honestly don't care if it's aliens anymore, one person said. Another chimed in. Now the onus is on those posting these things to prove it's not AI. All of this seems like AI to me. While the clip keeps circulating, its genuineness cannot be confirmed, but the influence of the clip on social media and people's curiosity over the alien existence cannot be disputed. So I watched a bunch of videos after this. So when this kind of came out, there wasn't a lot of stuff out there, but I don't know if anybody's seen them. And like I said, the best one that I saw was over Vancouver, and it's like an orb coming through the clouds, through splitting like in behind the moon, comes down through the clouds and then breaks apart, and it looks like it has the colors of the Aurora Borealis, but in straight branching out like tentacles, like long, like laser beams, I guess would be the best. And it spins around and it twists and it contorts and all these, it's actually quite beautiful looking. But yeah, have a look at those too. If you can go on X or wherever, super cool video. And like I say, the one in Vancouver where it's identified from Vancouver, I think that's the best one that I saw.
It's going to be amazing how AI is going to affect this.
Oh, 100%.
Well, technically everything that we do, you know, and I'll be honest with you, I am not looking forward to it.
No,
I am not. I think we're stupid enough to not learn lessons.
Well, what did Courtney say last night? Terminator, right?
Dude, we are totally like heading down the road of Terminator.
Yeah.
Right? Totally.
No, it's a little freaky, and I agree. I think that it should be used for good, not evil. But yeah, I think people take advantage of it, I guess, is in a positive way. I understand it, but like anything, there's always that bad element or that.
We are getting closer to the book 1984.
Yeah.
Then you think in 10 years, so many people are going to be out of work because AI is going to be so much cheaper.
Oh, programming
and robots and programming.
Yep.
You look at Japan, where the McDonald's don't even have restaurant workers anymore. The robots and the computers make all your hamburgers now. Okay, and French fries and everything. They just have people walking around making sure the machinery is working properly.
Well, I think it's in correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows, but I think in some of the airports in the States, they have robots that deliver your food to you wherever you're sitting.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you just give them a GPS coordinate. So yeah,
it's just like when I was in San Francisco. I was talking to Kira, who's part of our team.
Right.
And they were watching, when they were in town, they were watching this cab this cab company doesn't have drivers.
Oh, I could do it.
So you literally get in the passenger seat or the back seat. There's no driver there. It's all GPS coordinated and AI operated.
Ugh.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I'm not.
Well, and the problem is, they'll look at you and I and other people,
Mm-hmm.
And even though we're in our 50s, some of us are 80s, like
Of
yourself,
course. Yeah.
right? They look at us as dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Okay, that we're not with the new wave of technology. But,
Mm-hmm.
I just worry that we're moving too fast. Technology is good, like, hey, George Jetson's supposed to be 3 years old this year.
Yeah, right.
Right. So, I mean, we're moving towards more autonomous type of skills. But what is this going to do for people? Because no matter what, people still need to live.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. And not everybody's going to make money as a YouTube star or a TikTok star. And I don't think they're thinking about that. I mean, yeah, we're still a long ways away from doctors, and we still need doctors and unfortunately lawyers, and unfortunately journalists, and unfortunately car salesmen.
Yes.
Or anything like that.
Yeah.
But for the rest of it, it's kind of scary with how quickly this is moving.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. It's like with Neuralink. Like, I'm a big supporter of the concept of Neuralink.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes.
Okay. And I look at Neuralink from Elon Musk and I think, you know what? If that can stay in the hands of doing things right.
Yeah.
Okay. Like maybe helping paraplegics or quadriplegics walk again.
Exactly.
Maybe helping a child with spina bifida, or helping somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia,
right?
Keep their mind. I mean, how many people have died? Doesn't matter whether they're in their 40s or whether they're in their 90s,
right,
of dementia or some sort of brain issue.
For sure.
What about Parkinson's? Could it stop Parkinson's?
Yeah.
Right. That's what I would like to see them focus on with Neuralink. I just hope they don't make it to make some sort of Manchurian candidate super soldier like Jason Bourne.
Right. Right. And I think that I agree. I think that if they can keep it under control, or that sounds silly, if they can keep it confined to what they want to use it for good, and like you say, for all those positive things, I understand that. We just got to stop that creepy guy or those creepy people from sneaking in and hacking the technology and creating something evil.
But
right?
Here's the thing. Here's something I don't even think our listeners know. So the United States military or government, or the government contractors who build the F-35, I believe it's a McDonnell Douglas or Lockheed, whatever. Okay, builds the F-35. Did you know that any country who has the F-35, the United States has a kill switch on those aircraft?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So let's say Canada, which may be purchasing F-35s to replace the CF-18s. Okay. So we get the CF-35.
Yep.
And let's say Canada goes to war with the U.S. All they have to do is flip a computer switch and turn off our jet fighters, and we can't use them.
Wow.
It's part of the contract, apparently. How wicked evil is that?
That's scary, wicked evil.
Yeah. All right, next story. Go for it.
All right. So this story is a recent story, and it comes from 1897. So it's a while back. So on April 17th of 1897, the sleepy town of Aurora, Texas, was startled awake by an early morning crash that came from the big blue Texas sky. The crash was so exciting that an article about it was printed in the Dallas Morning News on April 19th, 1897. It stated that About 6 o'clock this morning, the early risers of Aurora were astonished at the sudden appearance of the airship which had been sailing through the country. It was traveling due north and much nearer to the Earth than ever before. That one was like, whoa, so you've seen it before. Evidently, some of the machinery was out of order, for it was making a speed of only 10 to 12 miles an hour and gradually settling towards the Earth. It sailed directly over the public square, and when it reached the north part of town, collided with the tower of Judge Proctor's windmill and went to pieces with a terrific explosion, scattering debris over several acres of ground, wrecking the windmill and the water tank and destroying the judge's flower garden. The pilot of the ship is supposed to have been the only one on board, and while his remains are badly disfigured, enough of the original has been picked up to show that he was not an inhabitant of this world. Mr. T.J. Weems, the United States Signal Service officer at this place and an authority on astronomy, gives it as his opinion that he was a native of the planet Mars. Papers found on his person evidently the record of his travels are written in some unknown hieroglyphics and could not be deciphered. The ship was too badly wrecked to form any conclusion as to its construction or motive power. It was built of an unknown metal resembling somewhat of a mixture of aluminium.
Aluminium, yes. Aluminium.
Aluminium.
For our British listeners.
That's right. And silver. And it must have weighed several tons. The town is full of people today who are viewing the wreck and gathering specimens of the strange metal from the debris. The pilot's funeral will take place at noon tomorrow. According to legend, the pilot was given a Christian burial and that was conducted by a traveling pastor. He was laid to rest in the Aurora Cemetery, and a stone marker was placed at the head of the grave. However, the stone marker no longer exists. There is a marker that was placed by the Texas Historical Commission on the fence leading into the cemetery. The marker gives a brief history of the cemetery's beginnings in the 1860s and talks about some of its more prominent families. Sometime in the 1970s, a group of people tried to have the remains exhumed to find out if they really were human or not. But a court injunction from 1972 stated that an exhumation could only take place if the next of kin of the deceased could be notified. Of course, not knowing exactly who is buried in the grave means there is no way to notify family, and thus the remains have been left to rest in peace. If this all was meant as an elaborate hoax, then it has succeeded in its endeavors to bring attention to the community of Aurora, Texas, as the story of the crash and the alien gravesite has been the subject of TV shows, documentaries, and writings for over 100 years.
100 years.
Yeah. Wonder why they couldn't get a hold of his next of kin, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have what's the area code for the Pleiades? You have to dial 1 before you go there?
1897.
Or is it like Europe where you got to go 011?
That's right.
I don't know.
Ethel, put me through to Mars.
Yeah, can we get Mars here if you don't mind? You know? Oh,
exactly. Exactly.
I got one here for you.
Okay.
All right. Let me just bring it up here.
Cool.
And I always like going to this Facebook page called Creepy Acres.
Mm-hmm.
They always have some really, really cool stories. So on this date in April 1994, in Buckley, Washington, happened about 9:30 p.m. Brian Canfield, who was just 18 years old at the time, was driving an isolated stretch of road in the foothills of Mount Rainier when his truck headlights all of a sudden began to dim. Suddenly, the engine stalled on the truck, and Canfield's vehicle rolled to a stop. He then notices a huge, hulking, wing-like humanoid gliding out of the night sky towards him. The 9-foot-tall beast lands on the road just 30 feet ahead of Canfield. Now, I don't know about you at this point. I'm going to absolutely be saying that there's probably going to be some dirt in the shorts because you can't drive anywhere,
Well, true.
you know? So Canfield claims that it has a wolf-like face,
Oh my goodness.
yellow eyes, tufted ears, bird-like feet, huge talons, and was covered in blue-tinged fur. The two stare at each other for some time before the two colossal, leathery, bat-like wings unfurl from the monster's back and begin to flap. As the beast lifts off into the sky, the force from its tremendous wings shakes the truck. The stalled engine then starts again, and Canfield races home to tell his parents about this encounter. His father returns to the scene with the boy. They find no evidence of the beast, but this would be later dubbed the Batsquatch.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Batsquatch.
Thank you, Creepy Acres.
No doubt. They got good
I
ones.
love their stories.
Yeah, they
love
do.
their stories.
Very good. I like it. Batsquatch. That's weird.
Yeah, werewolf with wings.
Yeah.
If things didn't get any worse with a werewolf,
I know, right?
it's got talons of an eagle,
Yeah.
and wings of a bat.
And silver bullet. Lead it. My goodness.
Good night, Irene, on that one. That's
Uh-huh.
where you use all the cliches.
Yep. Gotta go.
That's one for the boys, right? Oh, man, I would not want to run into that. You know, there's something about the whole werewolf, dogman, and now Batsquatch thing.
No.
That just...
No.
It just makes me shake my head.
Makes
me shake my head. But Tim, another great UFO report. Thank you for always being in studio, my friend. We appreciate that. As we get ready to shut this one down for the night. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your awards up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGM, Facebook, Streamer, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the Nuns. Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Sheets are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we have everything. Good night, everybody. And there she be.
Yeah. You made her, buddy. I feel so bad for him. I was like, do you want me to jump in and do something? I thought you were going to choke out a few times there.
I'm on about my fourth roll of toilet paper here.
Mr. Dave Scott, a consummate professional.
Hey, when you got fans like Thurston Howell III,
and
he's telling Lovey all about you,
yeah,
you gotta be on your game.
You got her top notch.
Yeah. Oh man.
Dave is gonna get a Neocitrin and crawl into bed. Oh no.
Dave's gonna have a NyQuil. I might pop 2 NyQuil tonight.
You're really going for the trip.
Yeah. Might have to.
Well, gotta do what you gotta do.
16, 25.
Isn't that funny? And tonight I had all the halls opened and ready to go. Everything was right within reach. It's like,
You didn't even hack tonight.
I know, that's what I mean. It was Murphy's Law.
What's her name? Yeah, all right.
Ooh, feel that temperature drop.
Oh, it's got cold here.
Yeah. I'm just going to close the window.
What temp is it?
2.
Yeah, it looks like a 2-degree.
Shouldn't be that cold. I've been looking at Marketplace too for another mic stand. But I guess we should probably hold off.
We need to talk in Vegas about what kind of gear we need for our adventure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's something that we need to do.
For sure.
All right. People, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to sign off early here because I am just not feeling well. Tomorrow night on the show, Brent Thomas is going to join us. We're going to share more paranormal stories all over the place. And, yeah, it'll be a fun time. Thank you tonight to Crave Dog, Granola, Grand, Gizmo, T-Bone, Jake, and Walter for the amazing super chats. I will see you tomorrow night. Hopefully I'm feeling a little bit better as we get ready to head into the Easter long weekend. And we'll see you soon, everybody. Take care.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.